How's everyone's blood pressure now? Knicks prevail, down 11 with about 8 minutes to go. And they're able to come back behind Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. And they now lead this series 3-1. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. We're here for the next hour. We got a lot of great things to talk about. Bill Pito, Alan Hahn, Wally Zerbiak. Alan's popped a Coke button.
I said, forgive me.
That's on you, kid.
Can't close it.
That's on you. Sometimes you got to keep your composure.
He's on the team. He on the
can't
team.
button his button.
No button. Come on.
He doesn't fit into his
coat.
coat.
Playoffs. I got a little excited.
How about the Knicks and the resilience there, Alan, when it really looked like it?
How about Jalen Brunson?
Right, and Cat, too.
Yes.
You got the two All-Stars won the game in crunch time.
Stars win in the playoffs, right, Wally?
Yeah.
Stars make the plays. And what we've seen in this series so far has been a Knicks team that in the third quarter, it has not been good. We talked about it pregame. But we also have seen a Piston team that just cannot close the deal in the fourth quarter.
I know. Cade Cunningham missed some makeable shots. Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guy you don't want to leave open in the fourth quarter. He is locked in anytime he gets a look. But boy, did Cat put his imprint on this game.
Yes.
Jalen Brunson, you know, is going to have the ball in his hands. Everyone defers to him. But they ran a really cool play where it was a cross-court pass from Jalen to Karl-Anthony Towns. He drilled a triple when they were down 4, and then he went on to make a huge step back, a huge fadeaway from behind the backboard, a la Larry Bird. Both of those All-Stars stepped up big time. They got 2 wins on the road. That is so hard to do in the playoffs. What a game, what a performance by the Bockers.
End of the first half, and we'll take everybody through the story. The Knicks just basically gave it away. Up 16 points. Detroit closes the half on 11-2 run. And then Wally in the third quarter, it was all Pistons. Somehow the Knicks, like they have always done with this group, they're able to find something. Because they're down 11 with 8 minutes to go. You're thinking the game's over.
They never panic. They're so good in the fourth quarter.
Because they have Jalen Brunson.
Right. When you know that as a team and you know that as players, that's in the other team's head. They know, even though we have a lead, this team is really good down the stretch, and we're not as comfortable down the stretch orchestrating offense, getting good looks, and finishing games. And you could definitely see that come up here. Just the grind that the Knicks played with, going for those loose balls, the last possession, everyone just laying it on the floor, diving for those loose balls. It was just an outstanding team effort, and it says a lot about this team, how good they are on the road. They go into tough environments. That building was crazy, and they don't let it bother them. That's what true professionals do.
They won 2 games in Detroit by a total of 3 points.
This series, think about it, this series has been so far an 8-point differential in these games. But it's all about how you close. It's about how you get it done. And the final possessions of this game is all about, again, we talked about experience, resiliency, and volleyball, incredible shot making. This man left the game limping off the court, and every Knicks fan was holding their breath. Then he came back on the court. Maybe he went back and got another cape and put it on his back there, Wally, because he looked tremendous when he came back out.
I know, but Tim Hardaway Jr. wouldn't go away. It just hit a big 3. Then he knocks down that 2. This was at the last second of the shot clock, over the backboard, nothing but net.
How about this?
This is the one that popped your button right there.
Yes, it
Boom!
did. Yes, it did.
Pop! There it goes. Gone. Big shot, Karl-Anthony Towns. Knicks win, lose shooting 37%. Who said the Knicks can't grind out wins against a physical basketball team? Take that back with you, Detroit basketball, going home with a loss.
Is this a sing-along?
He's completely out of tune. But look at the rebounding and points in the paint. Heavily to Detroit, and yet the Knicks win. I don't know, Alan, if there have been many times we've seen the Knicks outboarded that way and outscored in terms of points in the paint, and they're able to win the game.
I mean, look at the three-point shooting. Right. The Knicks made 15 threes in this game, and they went ice cold from 3 throughout the middle part of the game. That became a big problem for them. They made them early, then they made them late, and Karl-Anthony Towns is certainly a big part of it. The other story has been another big part of this series. And this is what, if you're J.B. Bickerstaff, you got to focus on this. He'll probably talk about officiating, but he shouldn't, because this game was a much differently officiated game than Game 3 was. It was more to benefit his team and the way they play. 19 turnovers, the Knicks turned it into 20 points. That is certainly something that's always going to kill you in a playoff series. When you turn the ball over at a high rate like they are, and the Knicks are turning it into points, you're giving possessions away.
Yeah, they couldn't get a good look at the basket the first part of the first half. They were just not running good offense, and we were talking about this. As the series goes along, the other team knows exactly what you're going to run.
Yep.
I mean, every play, they've seen it, they know it, they've run through it. So you're not going to be able to fake out guys and trick them on the other side of the floor. So you just have to be strong with the ball. You know guys are going to be right in your face. You know the officials are going to let you play a little more physical and a little bit harder on the defensive end, and you just got to will your way to baskets, and that's exactly what Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns did at the end of this game.
Difference in the fourth quarter. Again, talk about an experienced team. The Knicks only had 1 turnover in the fourth quarter. And that's a huge part of it. And they forced 4, turned them into 7 points. So, again, you get the swings based on what you do defensively. And the Knicks, I remember hearing this idea that the Knicks this season don't play defense the way they did last year. They're a different team defensively last year. Tom Thibodeau had been pushing his team, trying to make them the top 10 defense again. Their defense, when it matters most in this series, has been a huge difference maker, and it was in the fourth quarter.
Knicks outscored in the third quarter 28-14, and with about 2 minutes to go in that third quarter, we saw Jalen Brunson apparently tweak that right ankle, which caused him to miss 15 games late in the season. You're watching the game. Brunson's limping off. He can barely put any weight on that ankle. And, of course, he goes into the locker room. Allen puts on his cape and comes back with 15 fourth-quarter points. And you look at him go out there, and you're saying, oh, no. Because he couldn't put much weight on that at all as he tried to get off.
Back up.
Right, watch. He goes right back down.
It looked like a little leg lock where it just got twisted awkwardly and kind of bent in the wrong direction. And those ankles, when you're recovering them, they're like a hot stove. They're just sore to the touch. And any type of blow like that, it just exacerbates it. But the fact that he came back and played the way he did in the fourth quarter, I think he's going to be okay, which is a very good thing for the Knicks, because if he re-injured it at all like he did the first time, the Knicks season was in trouble. And then he just continues to play great basketball, finding his mate Josh Hart there, who was all over the place in this game. Jalen Brunson, another 30 spot in the playoffs. That's a lot in a row. And 13 for 26, 4 for 7 from the three-point line, 11 assists. How about the efficiency in a game where his team shot 36%? He shoots 50% from the floor. Excuse me, the Knicks shot 37% from the field as a team. He gets to 50%, makes all the big baskets to get them right to the finish line. And then Karl Anthony Towns in that fourth quarter was huge. These are not tough shots. I thought that was a foul. I was watching that live, and I was like, wait a second. Tim Hardaway Jr. can hip check you into the first row, and you can flip it up because you're so good and make the floater from 8 feet, and you can't get an and one?
It's game to game with these officials. Because game 3, they were calling that hip check. They weren't letting him get away with it. They were calling the screening where you literally push somebody with your hands. They were calling that in game 3. They were not calling that in game 4. It goes again to the Knicks having to play through this stuff. And that was something that J.B. Bickerstaff and the Pistons wanted to see. They wanted to test the Knicks and see if they could handle it in a hostile environment for 2 games. They did.
Brunson's fourth quarter so far in this series. 12 points fourth quarter game 1, 14 points game 2 fourth quarter, 12 points fourth quarter game 3, fourth quarter this afternoon 15. Now Karl Anthony Towns, we all know what happened in game 2. You call game 3, he was huge down the stretch, and he was huge again today when the game was on the line.
When the game was on the line, when the shots mattered, when the play was kind of breaking up, he found ways to just go one-on-one and make a play. That shot against Duren that we showed earlier, the fadeaway into the corner, you call it Larry Bird shot right against the backboard. If you watch, like, that hand is in his face when he shoots that high arc little lollipop, but perfect touch. He's a great shooter. But the 27-footer that put them up, the game-winning shot,
the step back,
that was a broken play that he just said, well, I'm the best shooter in the gym. I'm just going to knock this down.
5 for 6 from 3, put him up by 1. And then the Knicks, you knew they were going to have to get stops to secure this victory. And I just think they did a good job of fighting off those screens, getting the right matchups, and keeping OG Anunoby and Bridges on Cade Cunningham. And if Cade has to go, like, 1 against 5 when all eyes are on him, and it's either Bridges or Anunoby on him, those guys can make him take tough shots and make him miss. And that's what happened down the stretch. He missed, and the Knicks stars, they came through in the clutch.
Cunningham barely missed to win the game.
Just missed, but I'll tell you what, don't tell me again that Jalen Brunson's not the best player in this series. That's what everybody said going into this, that Cade Cunningham was. Don't tell me that again.